When I was 5, I had an experience that no 5-year-old should ever experience. I was living in Myanmar when I was 5 with my grandparents at their humble home, together with my parents, of course. So their house had a beautiful garden, and it's by the main road. So being by the main road, I see lots of people every day passing by. And I enjoyed myself playing in the garden, a very carefree life. A lot of outdoors, like Ken has advised. Okay? And one day, right, something happened. One day when I was playing in the garden, my mom called out to me, "Faster, come back inside." And as a 5-year-old, you don't know how to react. So I stood there frozen in the garden. So she had to run out and bring me to hide behind 2 tall coconut trees. So I was puzzled at what was happening. But from a distance, I saw a group of people, okay, dressed in white top and green pants or sarong, marching over. They were in their teens. They were cheering. They were saying some cheers. And I thought it was a parade. And as a 5-year-old, I got very excited. I wanted to be part of that parade. Okay. The next moment, when they were reaching in front of our house, I saw another group of men dressed in green, carrying rifles. And they started shooting at the students. Okay. So their white blouses was covered in blood and it turned red. And they started chasing the students away. And as they disappeared, those hidden students came out to carry the bodies of their friends that were lying on the road. And as they hear the soldiers come back with the gunshots, they panicked and they just leave their friends' bodies in the drains, hoping to come back and give them a proper burial. So at age 5, I had just experienced a massacre. Okay, but being young, I didn't know the depth of it. I didn't know what was happening. And the next few days, we were confined to our house. The schools were all shut down. And there was tension in the air. Okay, my cousin's family came and lived with us. So I was grateful that we could all be together and we are all safe. One particular night that I remembered very vividly was when we were watching TV at night. And we saw this newscaster on TV suddenly announced that there was martial law. You are not supposed to be outside of the house after 11. And we started hearing gunshots. So my grandfather quickly rushed us into the kitchen. Why the kitchen? Because that's the only part of the house made of bricks. And to his knowledge, bricks can protect from the bullets better than the wood, which is the structure of the rest of the house. Unfortunately, my neighbor, who was at his dinner table, got shot. So this was the childhood that I went through. Although I don't understand much, I realized something. My life has changed. My carefree childhood has changed. But I know that I cannot complain. And I know that I needed to be good. So that was the first major change in my life that I had experienced. And because of this change, it led to many, many changes in my life. So my dad, who was working in Africa, because he was working for the UNICEF, so he was working in Sierra Leone, which is in West Africa. He saw what happened on BBC Live. So he asked his supervisor for permission to bring me and my mom over so that we could be safe. So the news came to me with excitement, yet fear. Because I was excited that I'm going to sit in a plane. Right? Being 1988, it's not common for you to travel. And I had this vision of overseas, what it would be like, because I only grew up knowing Myanmar. Okay, but of course, I'm fearful because I need to leave my family and friends. So when my mom, actually, she's never worked her life before, the whole life. Okay? And she took up this courage, right? She's an introvert. She seldom step out of the house. But to keep me safe, she took up the courage to bring me all the way, as you can see, which is 7 miles across the world. That was the first flight that I took. Okay, there was a few intervals. So when I reached there, I was very happy to be reunited with my dad. But the image that I have in my mind and the place is totally different. Okay, and we took a 5 hours ride to the place that we were supposed to stay. So that's where my adventure began, my journey started. Because when I reached there, I had to start school. And I didn't know any English. Everyone was different. So I was this yellow skin, straight hair child, okay, a different specimen from them. And I stepped into the school. And everyone wanted to touch me and pull my hair and feel my hair, okay? So on the first day, right, when I stepped into the classroom, I was surrounded by older girls, okay, a group of older girls, and they started touching and pulling me from everywhere. And as a 5-year-old, you got frightened and you keep struggling. So ending that I had a lot of scratches on my hands. Although I was rescued by the teacher in time, without further damage, okay? And that something struck me inside. Because this is the place that I'm going to be staying for 2 years. I'm going to be speaking to them, studying with them, which is very different religion, race, and totally different from what I grew up in. So I can accept that my life has changed, yes. But if I'm going to be staying here, then I need to learn to adapt rather than just accept, right? So I try to adapt to their ways to fit in. I learned Creole, which is their language, okay, African language that they use in Sierra Leone. And I even joined in their tribal dance. Okay, this was the performance that we had. So I was fitting in well. I had a best friend. I had an older friend who is like 18, and I'm 5, okay, who always plays with me. And I was settling in very well. But the next change happened. My dad project has ended, and I had to move back to Myanmar. Okay? So when I had to move back, I had to reconnect and relearn the culture again. Because being 5 when I left, I didn't really understand much. So I was happy. This is my parents. Okay, I was happy to be back and to know my friends, even for that short 1 year. And I get to know the culture. So this is part of the culture that you go into the nunhood and also part of the religion. Okay. So I was settling in again with my old classmates. Then my dad had to move again this time to Indonesia. Okay, then I got to restart everything. But this time in Indonesia, I couldn't go to school because the language that they use was different. It's in Bahasa. And I didn't have time to learn. The city that we were in didn't have any international school. So I had to be homeschooled. So I'm the only child. Being the only child, I have nobody to complain to or share my burden, okay, or share my loneliness. So when you see this, it may be very ordinary to you, pencils and erasers, but they are very special to me because they were my best friends. Whenever, my girls, whenever my mom forced me to study in the living room while she watched TV in the bedroom, these were my playmates, okay? They were the imaginary family that I often play with. So whenever I am feeling lonely, I adapt to changes in that way. I find company within myself. I talk to myself. I walk in my garden, okay? And when I feel anxious, I look up at the sky. Okay, the clouds often calm me down. So this is my metaphor to date. Okay, and that 1.5 years in Indonesia, the next move came. But I was very, very glad for the move because I was moving to Singapore. The very place that I call home now. Okay, I was moving to Singapore. I can have a normal life. I can have friends. I can have school. Right? Even if I go out early in the morning, nobody will attack me. I was very safe. But of course, I couldn't avoid the verbal bullying that I had in school because I talk differently. I don't talk Singlish. Maybe I sound still a bit African. Okay, and I look different to them because I was darker skinned compared to my Chinese classmates. So the contrary is, when I was in Africa, you saw in the picture, I was the fairest of them all, okay? But when I came to Singapore, I become one of the darkest. So it's about perception as well that I had to change. Okay, but I told myself, I need to quieten down the noises and fit into the system. Because I can see the sacrifices that my parents had did for me to have a normal childhood in Singapore. So I studied hard to improve, and this is why I call this place my home for the last 25 years. So being a mother now of 2 beautiful kids, okay, I often teach them that life is full of changes. Today you have this toy, tomorrow no more, spoil already. Okay, so this is change as well. And you will always fall and you pick yourself up. So it's full of failures in life, but you improve from there. So I often put them in situations where they can fail often. They are here, my 2 beautiful daughters. They are making some noise. Okay, and I would like to share a methodology that I often use when I face challenges. Okay, so that you all can take it away as well. So when I face challenges, I use this PEPS model. Okay, PEPS model, first, of course, you pause when you're shocked, right? So you'll pause first. Then you breathe. Take a deep breath. Appreciate what the changes are. What's the challenge? Be it good or bad. Then you change perspective of seeing that problem because you may have a blind side to it. Then, of course, smile. Face the challenge with a smile. Then you will have the positivity, the energy, because a smile brightens you up. So once again, pause, breathe, appreciate, perspective change, and smile. So this is the methodology that I want to share with you all tonight. And lastly, right, I would like to end off by sharing this quote. Accepting in life is just to live. Okay, but adapting, then you actually strive. Thank you.